Hi, I'm Miles.
Hi, I'm Jimmy.
We are two members of Godeth. Thank you for tuning in and listening.
I want you to talk about your origins and what influences you in what you do.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
go ahead,
so,
Jim.
so for when Godeth started, we were focused on more of a new metal sound, especially with his old singer. When Miles joined, with his vocals being so heavy, we naturally aimed for a heavier direction. Uh, yeah, and I think that comes through in his music. So.
Mm,
Yeah, just say anything from thrash, hardcore, just groove metal. That's like our underbelly of a name,
mm,
what we
mm,
aim for. So yeah,
absolutely. I think it's ironically we're probably the two worst members of the band to talk about the origins of the band because we are the two members who joined quite a bit post the three other members who are founding members of the band. But Jimmy joined quite a bit before I did. But I'm coming up to nearly my 2 years now with Godeth, which is crazy. I was thinking about that earlier today.
yeah. I joined the year before you.
Yeah, it's almost bang on a year, really, wasn't it? To be
Yeah,
fair.
pretty much.
So
But yeah.
Godeth was going, but you obviously saw an opportunity and wanted to jump on board.
Yeah. Well, ironically, actually, I noticed you're in Salford. I went to BIM in Manchester for 4 years, and
Really?
yeah, I did. Yeah, I did songwriting at BIM. Yeah, Steve Trafford was my head of year, I believe. He was the fellow that he was a bassist, and I think one of the for a brief interim period, he was the bassist in the Fall for a while.
Right, bloody
I believe.
hell.
Yeah, so a little bit of a claim to fame there, but yeah, so yeah, I was at uni for ages trying to do music. COVID hit. Everything kind of fell apart, to be honest. I ended up staying in Manchester for probably like a year after the sort of first lockdown kind of lifted, and then I ended up moving back here. Danny, our drummer, I knew from a band that we were in together in college, actually in York. We went to Access to Music together in York, um, and I literally just on a whim went out to go and see him play with one of his other bands who the lead singer is one of my best friends. And whilst he was there, he was like, "Do you want to join? We need a singer." And I was like, "What do you do?" And he was like, "Groove, new metal, sort of thrash stuff." I was like, "Hell yeah,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, sure." And then did the audition. You guys jumped the gun with sort of
It was,
invited me into the
it
band
was
a bit, didn't you?
it was so funny because Miles, before he got there, we were all saying, we can't say yes on the first practice. We can't let him join on the first practice. And then he opened his mouth and started screaming, and we were like, we've got to have him.
I, I vividly remember going, "You guys want like heavy stuff, don't you? Yeah, you want some gutturals and some screaming." And you were like, "Yeah, yeah, please, please." And then I think I saw Dylan shift slightly, like his
Yeah, yeah,
when I started singing, he was like, "Oh, like,
Wow.
yeah," in it.
So just a natural fit then, by the look of it.
Seemed to
100%.
be, yeah. Seemed to
100%.
fall into the
Like,
right places at the right time, to be honest.
yeah, when we were jamming, like, because as soon as we'd got him into the band, we'd already had a song recorded, but we had no vocals. So his first task was write a full song for us, literally within a week, because we had the
Wow.
studio booked, and yeah, smashed it.
And that ended up
And
being
then
Skull.
your first few gigs were metal to the masses, weren't they? The
Mm.
like the quarterfinal, semi-final, and the final, and
Yeah, it was.
then we won.
Yeah,
So
chucked in at the
Incredible.
deep end, definitely with it. Yeah, it was weird that first period because it was just like all we were focusing on was the Metal to the Masses gig and building up to that, and then all the gigs building up to the sort of final for it, and it was weird once we came out of that, and I was like, that's when I felt like, right, okay, now I can start doing proper, like, I don't know, normal band stuff rather than practicing for a sort of battle of the bands kind of competition.
Wow. So when did you perform at Bloodstock?
God, when was it? I can't even remember what month Bloodstock is in. Jim's frozen as well. Is he
It's
frozen for you
August.
also?
Oh, he looks frozen
August.
actually. Yes, but yeah, yeah, well spotted. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to look at the camera instead of the screen.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it's on in August. Oh, he's
Mm.
disappeared. Look, he's probably got a bad
Oh dear.
connection or something. So I guess maybe 2 years ago. What would it be? 22?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't last year. It was the year before. It was my first time actually ever going to Bloodstock, and I got invited to play there. So we got our tickets for free and everything. Got to, on one of the days, got to go into the VIP area, but there was certain like levels of, I guess, security sort of passes. I guess there was like a level 1, 2, 3 sort of thing, and we were on the like bottom rung of the VIP. I guess, to be fair, but understandably. But like I remember Dylan and I went to the VIP area, and there was a sort of cafeteria, canteen sort of area, and there was a security at the door to that, and I remember walking up to it, and he goes, "Oh, hold on, lads, let me see your passes. Let me see your passes." And we showed them our passes, and he was like, "Yeah, sorry, no, I can't let you in. You haven't got the clearance for it." And I remember looking over his shoulder, and Dave Mustaine was sat behind him eating some egg and chips, like at the table. And I was there, like, is that Dave Mustaine? And he went, "Yeah, it is, to be fair." And I was there, like, "Oh, okay."
Oh.
Right.
You know what? I've never been in that canteen either. We're not allowed in there, so I don't know what level you've got to be at.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Hey, there we
there
go.
you go.
There we go.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, all right. Shall we have a crack at the next question?
Mm.
Okay.
All right. So, I mean, you've kind of answered. So, I mean, I've written all these questions before you've actually spoken to me, so you might have already, answered some of these. What have you done so far? Is the next question.
Compared to when we first started, we were always playing locally, Leeds and the surrounding areas. Obviously, up until Miles joined, it was primarily Leeds. After we've, took it by that, wings and flew. We've been up and about all over. Played festivals as mentioned, Bloodstock, Mangata Festival. Depending on when this airs, we will be playing there again this year. But yeah, we've got his first Scotland like mini tour, which is really cool. Yeah,
Tell me about that. Go on.
Yeah, so we've got Dundee, Glasgow, and Edinburgh booked in for a nice little weekender. So yeah, that should be
brilliant.
Really,
yeah, fantastic. When's that happening?
1st of March through to 3rd.
Brilliant. Okay, well, we'll have you on air before then. So hopefully that'll help. Okay, and next one is what you're currently working on.
I'll answer this one if you want.
Yeah.
So we have just kind of finished working on 2 singles that we're releasing. It's 22nd, isn't it, that Fleshmonger comes out. Yeah, we've got a music video that we shot with Alex Dixon, who is our wonderful photographer, and videographer, I should say, as well. Done lots and lots of good stuff with him. And then
Boom.
Yeah, I should say sorry as well. Yeah, at Boom, RIP. And then later on, you'll forgive me, Jim. I can't remember the date of the second release. For
It's
Leeds.
not yet, bro.
Right. Fair enough.
But we've got a new track coming as well in the future. It's one that we've played a couple of times live, and we've always wanted to get it onto the streaming platforms. And yeah, we're so excited for that.
Personally, they're like 2 of the best things I think we've written and actually worked on and produced so far. And I can see every time we release something, I can always see like a trend of us sort of moving on this journey, I guess, of finding our sound and getting closer and closer to that point at which we go, yeah, this is what we sound like and what we want. And the I kind of describe it as when it pulls on your soul a little bit, like that feeling of it. Like I feel like everything we do, we progress and get heavier, and we get more technical, and we think more and more about how the end listener is going to be reacting to it in a live setting, and then also listening to a recorded studio version of the song as well. But yeah, our big go on, sorry.
All aspects of it. I would just agree with you.
Yeah. But our big project for this year is we're going to try and work on and create an album. It's been, I think, a dream of a lot of ours for a long time since we were kids to like create a full length album. And I can imagine it in my head as like all of us having, more space and time to kind of put more of our specific influences on each of the tracks and stuff. Because obviously an album being like, long play
12
version of a
songs.
record.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, on the album front, like Godeth have been going since 2018. I feel like the reason that they've always focused on singles and EPs in this day and age, it's so hard to grab someone's attention so quick with just one release. So having
Yeah.
multiple continuity releases with singles and EPs, it builds a fan base. Like you see a lot of bands just like drop a few singles and then boom, full length, which is great if it works. But like, I've seen both sides of it. So I'm glad that we've done, the singles and then the album.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I've got tons of questions. I kind of want to add another one in. I mean, I was thinking about your fans, and I was thinking about how they've interacted with you and how they, support you and sorry, go on.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah, I feel like with fans, like because we're up and coming, like in Leeds where we're from, I feel like we've got such a good fan base. Like no matter any time we play Leeds, we'll always sell it out, which is a great feeling. But like as I say, since we've been journeying further afield, we've been growing more fans there. You can tell like we'll go and we'll sell loads of merch, which is we're so thankful for. When you're online, it's hard to recognize that when you're not actually doing it. Like, and when you go to another city and you're meeting new people, like we'll always sit and talk to people after, and it's just like making mates. That's the way I see it, and you're going to bring them on a journey.
I like that. I think that's very true. I feel like I want to have more of a conversation with you, to be honest, but this is only supposed to be a short feature. So, now, next question would be, what's your favourite thing that you've created? Now, this could be very broad. It doesn't have to be Godeth, but what is your favourite thing that you've created?
We were discussing this question before we joined. We were discussing what it meant exactly. We didn't know if it meant as a group or as individuals or like I'll let you go first, Jim. I might think about my answer a little bit more.
Yeah, that's fine. For me personally, I've always just wanted to be in a band that plays live all the time. That's like I'm happy that we're creating that. Like I remember when I was like 16, I was in an indie band for a bit. Lasted for about 2 years, and I was just so excited like to be doing something. And then it sort of drifted apart, and then I've always sort of craved that, and then to be able to do it again, it's very rewarding.
Yeah, I can understand that, definitely.
I think for myself personally, I know it's a bit of a kind of cop out answer a little bit, but I think I was talking about this with Jim before, but I think the playing at Bloodstock was, I know it's not something exactly we've created in the same sense, but like that has been one of my highlights, one of my favorite points of the band and the career that we've had so far. And like the gig itself, but even just being invited to play at a festival that is so respected and so people love Bloodstock, and they go as at all festivals, like there's just such a good happy vibe there, and to like as I said, to be invited rather than having to pay for that was like really, I loved it, you know. And like Dylan, one of our guitarists, bought a ticket, didn't he? Him and his missus bought tickets,
Yeah.
and then they like got invited and then sold their tickets on, basically, you know, which is brilliant, you know, which is something that not everyone can say that they've done, to be fair.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I think track wise, project wise, Path of Destruction EP was incredible, and I loved it, and I loved performing it, and loved creating it, and everything, and all the work we did towards it. But I think the 2 tracks that we've got working on at the moment that we're releasing are some of my favorite things we've created so far. Definitely, it's we all have different influences massively in the band, and I know a lot of bands have this, and it's maybe a cliche to say it and stuff, but you can really feel all the different influences, and I feel like the Fleshmonger and then the other track are like even more so towards the kind of like harmonic kind of center. I'm using a lot of words, but the harmonic kind of location that I want, you know, to get to, really. Like, and that, I guess that harmonic center is just things that go dong, sort of, you know, a bit like,
Growing, I think, which
yeah,
and like you can tell, and it's very exciting.
very much so.
Cool. I did. Do you know what? I should make notes as I think, because whilst you were talking, I had a thought to ask that. It's gone. Right. So, and I'm still thinking.
Always thinking.
I'm halfway to asking whether it's worth playing in the video, and you talk about your favourite bits of it.
Playing, the actual track.
Yeah.
Oh. I'm not listening to myself.
I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think it's on YouTube yet, or it's not public on YouTube, is it?
No. I think when we got in touch with you, we did send like a link with stuff, but that's...
Yeah, I've got an MP4 which is 2.2 gigabytes, which is too big for the Riverside system that we use. So might just have to sort of not do that. But I can certainly ask you what your highlights are of making the video.
Yeah, defo. I've got a funny story for this. So we recorded it at Boom Leeds, which we briefly mentioned before. It's closing down due to landlords upping the price. That's like the staple scene in Leeds. So we were like, we didn't know it was closing down at the time. So we're just happy to have that as like an archive memory, that'll last forever, sort of thing. We can look back on that.
I literally said that before we had this call, didn't I?
Oh,
I
did
said that
you?
in 10 years' time. Do you remember what I was saying? I said that in 10 years' time, whilst we were having our briefing for this call, Jim and I,
Right.
I literally went, yeah, 10 years' time, people will go to us, didn't you played at Boom when it was still open, didn't you? And we'll go, yeah, we did, yeah.
Back in my day.
Back in my day when Boom was open.
But yeah, when we were recording, because we played Fleshmonger twice to get more footage for it. We played it first and last, and on the last version, I crowd surfed with my bass, and I was going for it, I was like flying through crowd, giving it big, and then Miles is like guiding me back to the stage, and then he drops me and then my wireless system just breaks off the stage, and I'm laid there like, what the hell am I doing?
I was holding your ankles.
Yeah,
I tried to place your ankles back down on the thing, but you were just getting pulled in all sort of directions. So I just sort of placed your ankles, your feet where I thought they needed to be, and then let go. But I think other people let go at the same time as well.
Oh God, was the guitar okay?
Oh, the bass is fine. The wireless system, I've probably got the little dangly wires just.
But a great video.
Oh, it looked cool. It was
Yeah.
And any highlights of making the album?
Yeah, I because that was his first EP / album that we'd done together. It was just really nice to have a full product of us all working together.
How many tracks is it? Sorry.
6.
6, that's decent for an EP.
Yeah. Because we released one of them prior, and then did a 2-single rollout, and then just fed the rest on it. But yeah, we a lot of people have asked us, like, is it an album or is it an EP?
Yeah.
And
It's sort of in between, really, isn't it?
Because like bands like Kublai Khan, they released a new album and it's like 20-minute long, and I just see that as an EP.
Yeah.
And like full length album needs to be like 10, 12 plus, like in my eyes, anyway.
Yeah.
But
Isn't it originally called like EP because you had EPs, the extended
play.
plays, and then you had long plays, which then became colloquially known as albums?
That sounds about right. Yeah.
Something to do with the vinyls, wasn't it? And how much space, the information they could fit onto a side of vinyl, basically, which is why obviously you had your 7 inches and then your 12 inches for albums.
Yeah, I mean, you can fit something like 3.5 minutes on a 7-inch. Then if you get a 12-inch, you can fit 6. You could fit 6, I suppose, on it.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I'm obsessed with like physical media because I still have a lot of physical media.
Yeah.
So, where do you stand on vinyl or?
That's so weird that you've asked that question. Like, because on Saturday we did an interview with our local record shop.
I literally was thinking about this.
And they offered us to potentially play a show in Raw, which is like so cool. It's like the tiniest little room ever, and if they got a metal band in there, it'd be crazy.
Oh my god, can you imagine? Yeah. Wow. Okay.
They had like, who was it? Benji Webb from Skindred, but he did an acoustic like little show in there.
Really?
Yeah. So that's cool.
Wow.
It's right on one of the it's on Merrion Street, isn't it? It's right on one of the big high streets in Leeds. So I was imagining like people walking past it being like, what the hell's going on in there? Like in that tiny room, why are all those sweaty people all cramped into that tiny room?
Oh wow. If you do it, promise me you'll film it. Oh my god.
And that was what we were on about after like getting it mixed and mastered and stuff like that'd be so cool.
We could definitely live stream it as well.
Live.
Wow.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah, live. Brilliant. Yeah. I love live tracks on albums just because it reminds you of being there. I mean, you capture some of the atmosphere maybe.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%. Yeah, definitely.
So do you reckon you'll see your EP on physical media?
Oh, we've got CDs and stuff.
Oh, you have got, okay.
We've got CDs, cassettes. The only one we haven't done is vinyl, and that's purely down to cost.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like if we did manage to front it, it would sort of pay for itself, but we're a DIY band, and it's so hard to fund everything.
Totally get it, absolutely.
Yeah, of course. That, like, for the record thing, like, we would love to get a 7-inch of one of the tracks. That would be like ideal. Yeah. Physical media.
Yeah. Talk to me about cassettes.
So that's Dylan's idea, our guitarist. He loves like old school death metal, like that's his jam. And I feel like a lot of bands were doing that or are doing that, with the little cassettes. So yeah, we started like recording our shows. Like we did one for Metal to the Masses final. We sold all of them. So they were like, I'm going to do more. And then it just bootlegged it again. Sold more. And then, we got the actual cassette sorted for the Path of Destruction EP, which was cool.
It sold surprisingly well, didn't they?
Honest to God, that they make us the most, which is crazy. Like, T-shirts, they're second best. CDs, last. Like, you won't believe it.
Well, I mean, I can't even remember the last time I saw a tape player.
That's what I mean.
So, I'm just really astonished by that. I guess they're cheap to make.
Yeah, and like easy to do because Dylan, he does all the printing and stuff for it. So right. So it's not just like bog standard cassette. There you go. Yeah. Put a little bit of effort into it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's your product at the end of the day. So absolutely, yeah.